Alright, so I watched an anime recently called X and Y, or some Chinese word which I didn't actually look up. Anyway, this is a bit different from usual because it's a Chinese animated series. I hadn't actually covered or watched any besides this one, strangely enough. Anyway, I do not recommend it. Most of it has to do with pacing, strange tone shifts, and the story not really making too much sense. The ending is also not much of an ending. It's like they tried to go for something profound, but didn't quite stick with the ending or go that deep. Maybe a couple more episodes would have done the trick, but it just is what it feels unfinished. So what is it about? An office worker delves into a mysterious escape room, then seemingly everything starts to go wrong, somehow connecting back to the proprietor of the escape room. People getting hurt, kidnapped, the man himself is followed by a madman, the list goes on. All the lines converge on the X and Y. Yeah, I know how stupid that sounds. What did I enjoy? Well, it's difficult to say, because everything I enjoyed I also felt wasn't done that well at other times or in general. For example, I was fascinated by the mystery and just wanted to know more. Then it was revealed and I was disappointed. Then it was a bit bait and switch too. Or another example is animation. Early on, I think episode 2, there is a moment when there is a heavy rain and the leaves drop under the weight of the raindrops. And that particular moment was absolutely gorgeous. Some of the best animations I have ever seen. Then there are other times when characters go derp or do that stilted digital movement which is not done through drawing, but through editing the still images. So fabric doesn't sag, soft parts don't get dragged behind or squish, and so forth. Not the worst animation by any means, but again, I can't exactly praise it as a whole. I suppose one thing I can safely praise, however minor, is the character design. Simple for the most part, but the outfit on the main girl, I give up. If you watch it, you know who I'm talking about. Her outfit is needlessly complicated and kinda sexy. I don't know if it really matters, but hey, I like looking at her. And she had some casual outfits too, so that's cool as well. Frequently shows just have characters always wear the same thing, and this wasn't one of those. Oh, and another thing I'd like to praise, although again unimportant, is the intro. It was one of the few intros I don't always skip, and actually enjoyed both the music and the visuals. It reminded me a bit of Batman Beyond, Bacano, and Cowboy Bebop. Just snippets of all of these here and there. So the negatives. The mystery is all over the place. Without spoiling it, I will just say that the reveal was somewhat obvious once more pieces were in place. My problem was also the fact that there are also plot points and characters introduced who appeared for a hot second and then vanish. Their impact completely muted, and it feels like they were added strictly to drag the story out and flesh out the main characters a bit more, instead of actually having them be characters or having stories of their own. NPCs, essentially. Aside from that, the tone was jumping all over the place. Early on it's horror. Everything feels odd and unsettling. Then it suddenly becomes something of a romantic comedy, and the payback scene plays out extremely awkwardly. As if he was gonna do something a lot more forceful. I'm glad he didn't, but it was still needlessly uncomfortable. Somewhere in there it's a thriller and a chase, and against a possible killer or a kidnapper, and then it's kinda fizzling out and just gets confusing. Jumping between all these moods every few minutes. I don't know what to expect next, but in the end it all felt clumsy and unfocused. As if a writer had a cool idea in their mind, but then was surprised at the positive reception and didn't have anything else planned. So they had to scramble to quickly write more, eventually messing up everything. Not too terribly, but overall it's amateur. So I suppose I'd have to praise the fact that it's not truly bad at any point. It's just not good either. I've watched some mysteries which had terrible payoffs. Babylon, for example. I'm probably gonna talk about it at some point. I watched something like Samidare, which set up a cool story and then descends into a parody of itself. And I've also played things like Zero Time Dilemma, which is there to become the final word in the amazing trilogy of games, and definitely does not do the job anywhere near as well as the other two games. So X and Y, or that Chinese word, okay, Ayu de Mishi. It doesn't really do that. It's never that good. So the expectations were never that high. Still, just on the virtue of being the first Chinese anime I have seen, it's something to note.